The city was filled with grand old buildings, relics from a time gone by. And when I graduated college, these old structures beckoned me with their historical allure and surprisingly affordable rents. The Hamilton Building, a towering structure of bricks and fading grandeur, was particularly appealing. The apartment I secured was spacious, with tall windows overlooking the city's heart. As days turned into nights, the soft, melodic tunes of a piano filled the hallways, lending a comforting atmosphere. One day a letter slid under my door. It was an invitation. "Dear neighbor, I've enjoyed sharing my music with you. Would you care to join me for tea tomorrow evening? Warmly, Mrs. Caldwell." Intrigued, I decided to accept. Mrs. Caldwell's apartment was a labyrinth of memories. Every wall adorned with sepia-toned photographs, every corner filled with trinkets. The aroma of brewed tea hung in the air. But it was her striking blue eyes, filled with a blend of warmth and mystery, that caught my attention. During our tea, she spoke of the Hamilton Building's rich history, of love stories and heartbreaks, of dreams achieved and shattered. She had a tale for every soul that had graced its floors. Then, on a fateful night, an urgent knocking disrupted my sleep. It was past midnight. Opening the door, I found a frantic Mrs. Caldwell. "They're back," she whispered, eyes wide with terror. Curiosity piqued, I followed her downstairs. There, in her living room, stood the grand piano. Except tonight, it played a tune of its own, with no visible hands guiding its keys. Mrs. Caldwell began, "50 years ago, a young couple lived in your apartment. Their love was pure yet forbidden, and in their despair they chose to end their lives together in this building. As tragic as it was, the real horror began after. Residents reported hearing their song, a haunting, melancholic tune, even when the apartment was vacant. I've tried to calm their restless souls with my own music, but they always return." Suddenly, the apartment's temperature dropped. The piano's frantic pace hinted at an unseen presence. Shadows danced along the walls, and the echo of a woman's laugh and a man's whisper filled the room. Panic took hold, and we fled her apartment, rushing to mine. We could still hear the relentless piano echoing through the halls, accompanied now by murmured voices and footsteps. Mrs. Caldwell, catching her breath, added, "I've tried to move, but I'm bound here, a prisoner of my own past." It was then that she revealed a shocking truth. She had been in love with the man from the doomed couple. Her melodies were an expression of her guilt and longing. In the following days, I sought to break my lease, but my landlord simply nodded in understanding. As I packed my things, I couldn't shake off the thought of the countless souls still wandering the Hamilton Building. Mrs. Caldwell's sorrowful melodies continued to serenade the hallways. I often wonder if she'll ever find peace, or if she's destined to forever play her tunes, a guardian of tragic memories. The Hamilton Building remains, a testament to the past and the spirits bound within its walls. And every so often, a new tenant hears the mournful notes of a piano, a reminder that some stories never truly end. As I settled into a new home miles away, I couldn't escape the haunting melodies of the piano. Even now, in the silence of the night, I swear I can hear the distant, echoing notes of Mrs. Caldwell's lament. The Haverbrook Public Library, an imposing structure with centuries-old Gothic architecture, was the town's most significant historical landmark. The depths, its underground archive, carried legends of its own, often spoken of but seldom ventured into. Amelia, a bright-eyed librarian, had recently joined Haverbrook. Fascinated by its history, she eagerly accepted the assignment of cataloging old newspapers and journals in the depths. Descending into the archive, she felt a drop in temperature, and an eerie silence gripped the surroundings. She navigated the maze of towering shelves, filled with forgotten chronicles of the past. One evening, while examining an old newspaper, Amelia stumbled upon a series of articles about a librarian named Lillian Gray. Lillian had vanished in the late 1800s, and her disappearance was surrounded by speculation. The more Amelia delved into Lillian's past, the more she felt connected. However, odd occurrences began. She'd hear hushed whispers when alone, see fleeting shadows in the corner of her eyes, and find items displaced. Among the newspapers, Amelia discovered a worn-out journal, Lillian's diary. Entries revealed Lillian's increasing paranoia, hearing her name whispered, and her sense of being pursued. One entry stood out. Lillian mentioned discovering a hidden section in the depths, untouched for decades. Curiosity piqued, Amelia decided to find this hidden chamber. Using old blueprints, Amelia identified an anomaly, a room not present in modern records. On one fateful night, she decided to investigate. Following the blueprints, she uncovered a concealed entrance. As she pushed open the heavy door, a gust of cold air engulfed her, revealing a room with a single dimly lit lantern, old artifacts, and a portrait of Lillian. The atmosphere was thick, unsettling. As Amelia ventured deeper, she felt a presence. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind her, plunging her into darkness. Panicking, Amelia fumbled to relight the lantern. She heard the distant sound of a lullaby growing louder. As the room brightened, Amelia caught sight of a figure in the reflection of a dusty mirror. It was Lillian, or a ghostly apparition of her. Lillian's spirit conveyed a tale of betrayal. She had been lured into this room by another librarian, jealous of her success and popularity. Locked in, she was left to perish, her spirit trapped within the depths. The spirit, seeking closure, implored Amelia to reveal her tragic tale to the world. As dawn approached, the room's door creaked open, as if released by an unseen force. Amelia, traumatized but determined, brought her harrowing experience to the library's authorities. The sealed room was reopened, revealing skeletal remains, identified as Lillian's through an old locket found beside them. The library became the talk of the town, with locals divided on the existence of the supernatural. However, an unexpected twist awaited. Among Lillian's belongings was a letter, naming her betrayer, the former library head, who had been respected until then. Amelia's discoveries not only unveiled the dark past of Haverbrook but also cemented its reputation as a haunted landmark. Some nights, if you listen closely, Lillian's lullaby still echoes in the depths, a haunting reminder of the library's chilling history. A few years later, Amelia mysteriously disappeared, much like Lillian had. The library was permanently closed, but tales of the whispers in the library grew, drawing thrill-seekers and paranormal enthusiasts from around the world, all eager to hear Lillian's lullaby and perhaps see Amelia walking beside her. In the heart of the town of Eldenbridge stood the Wren residence, an old Victorian mansion with a peculiar history. Every owner reported inexplicable events, yet its beauty often beguiled unsuspecting new residents. The house's last hopeful occupants were the Carters, David, Sophia, and their young daughter, Lucy. They were captivated by the mansion's charm and quickly settled into their new home. During their move, Sophia stumbled upon a dusty old photo album in the attic. The pictures inside, although faded, showcased previous inhabitants of the house, dating back several decades. Every night, as a bedtime ritual, Lucy would ask Sophia to narrate a story about the people in these photos. Their lives, imagined by Sophia, became nightly tales of adventure, love, and dreams. However, a week into their stay, Lucy pointed out something strange. Some of the faces in the photographs seemed to be gradually fading, almost as if being erased from existence. Initially dismissing it as the wear and tear of old photographs, Sophia soon noticed the alarming reality. Faces weren't just fading, they were being replaced. New, unfamiliar faces started appearing in the photographs. One evening, as the sun cast long shadows, Lucy mentioned her new friend, Eleanor, whom she played with in the garden. Thinking it was just an imaginary friend, David and Sophia didn't think much of it. But when Sophia glanced at the photo album later, she saw a clear picture of a girl from the 1920s who bore an uncanny resemblance to Lucy's description of Eleanor. Concerned, Sophia began researching the house's history. She discovered a chilling pattern. Eleanor, like several others, had lived in the house but had mysteriously vanished without a trace. Late one night, David was awakened by the sound of soft whispers. Following the voices, he found Lucy in the attic surrounded by faded photographs, talking animatedly to thin air. Eager to leave the house, the Carters planned their departure. However, things took a sinister turn. Lucy started appearing in the old photographs, playing with the children of the past, while her real-life demeanor grew distant and detached. Desperate, the Carters consulted a local medium. She revealed that the house had a powerful bond with its past residents, especially the children. They were trapped in an endless loop, reliving their moments in the mansion. On her advice, David and Sophia held a séance, attempting to free the spirits and sever the house's bond with Lucy. As candles flickered, voices from the past echoed around them, pleading for release. Suddenly, a blinding light enveloped the room. When it dimmed, the photographs lay scattered, faces restored. But Lucy was gone. Distraught and heartbroken, the Carters left Eldenbridge, leaving behind the cursed mansion and the album. The town declared the place off limits. Years later, an urban explorer ventured into the Wren residence. In the attic, he found an old photo album. On one of the pages, he saw a black and white image of a smiling family, the Carters. Their expressions were frozen in time, but if one looked closely, Lucy's eyes seemed to carry a plea for salvation. To this day, locals say that at twilight, if you pass by the Wren residence, you can hear the distant laughter of children and see fleeting figures playing in the garden, forever trapped in their photographic prison. Marlow was not just any town. It was cocooned by the dense, ever-brooding forest known to all as the Whispering Woods. The forest's name wasn't merely for ambience. It was a stern warning. For beyond the rustling leaves and haunting bird calls, people claimed to hear soft human-like murmurs. As years passed, daring souls attempted to penetrate the depths of the woods. Some returned with tales of shadows that moved against the wind, of chilling whispers that seemed to echo their innermost fears. Others simply never came back. One fateful summer, a group of 5 friends, bound by both curiosity and the naivety of youth, plotted an expedition. 3 nights in the heart of the Whispering Woods. That was the challenge. A challenge no Marlow resident had reportedly conquered. Their first day was unsettling. The further they ventured, the more the forest seemed to shift and react, like a living, breathing entity. By dusk, they found a small clearing and decided to set up camp, the atmosphere palpable with tension. Nightfall in the Whispering Woods was a descent into auditory madness. Soft conversations that weren't theirs, laughter, cries, and a perpetual sensation of being watched. It was James, the most rational of the group, who proposed a game to lighten the mood. "Let's map the forest," he said. Each would venture out in different directions for an hour, marking trees. But when they regrouped, Vanessa was missing. She had left behind a trail of erratic markings on the trees like a panicked scramble. Terrified but determined, they decided to follow Vanessa's trail. It led them deeper into the woods and, by dawn, to a dilapidated cabin. The cabin's walls were adorned with crude drawings of faces and a sprawling tree at its center, and underneath it, an eerie message: "Whisper your fears, and they shall guide you." Each friend, desperate to find Vanessa, whispered their deepest fears into the echoing woods. As if on cue, the forest came alive, the whispers growing louder, leading them towards the massive ancient tree depicted on the cabin's wall. Upon reaching the tree, they noticed its trunk was hollowed out. From inside came a familiar voice, Vanessa's, crying for help. James, fueled by adrenaline and concern, ventured inside, urging the others to wait. Hours felt like days. The sun dipped below the horizon again, and there was no sign of James or Vanessa. With each passing moment, the forest murmurs grew more intense, more personal, recounting past sins and transgressions of the remaining friends. Terrified, the remaining 3 made a pact to stay together, but as the night wore on, they were each lured away by whispers only they could hear, promises of their darkest desires, until one by one, they vanished into the woods. The town of Marlow dispatched search parties, but no trace of the friends was ever found. However, those who ventured close to the Whispering Woods claimed that on some nights, they could hear the unmistakable sound of 5 voices among the many, warning them to stay away. Years later, an old hermit from Marlow, fueled by the tales, approached the woods with a mission, not to enter but to silence the whispers. With fire. The blaze consumed the woods, but the murmurs persisted, more tortured than before. Today, the Whispering Woods stand blackened and charred, but they're anything but silent. Those who pass by say the voices are clearer now, filled with pain and regret, and among them a new voice can be distinctly heard, that of the old hermit, forever trapped with the souls he tried to free. In the small coastal town of Arundel, the looming silhouette of the Montford Lighthouse had forever cast its ominous glow. The lighthouse, standing solitary against the battering waves and relentless winds, bore a history darker than any storm it had ever witnessed. Legend had it that in the late 1800s, a lighthouse keeper named Enoch Montford mysteriously vanished, leaving behind his wife Lydia and their newborn son. Heartbroken, Lydia took on the duties of her husband, manning the beacon every night. However, on one fateful night, the light failed. A ship navigating through a particularly vicious storm crashed against the rocky shores, leaving no survivors. Blamed for the tragedy, Lydia was ostracized and consumed by guilt. Whispers around town spoke of Lydia's mournful cries echoing throughout the night, intertwining with the baby's wails. And then one evening they stopped. The next morning, the townsfolk found the entrance of the lighthouse locked from the inside. Breaking in, they discovered a heart-wrenching scene, Lydia's lifeless body cradling her now silent child. From that day, the Montford Lighthouse was abandoned, but the tales persisted. Late at night, eerie cries resonated, accompanied by the phantom glow of the lighthouse beam. Fast forward a century. A daring group of paranormal investigators, drawn by the lore, decided to spend a night at the lighthouse. They were led by Clara, a skeptic determined to debunk the myths surrounding Arendale's most haunted landmark. As night fell, the group set up their equipment, and almost instantly, the temperature plummeted. Shadows danced even without a light source, but the most chilling phenomenon was the soft, unmistakable lullaby that wafted through the air. Following the melodic trail, the group ascended the spiral staircase. Each step intensified the mournful song and the feeling of sadness, but upon reaching the top, all went silent. Suddenly, a powerful gust locked them inside. Their high-tech instruments and cameras started glitching, displaying distorted images of a woman and a baby. Feeling increasingly trapped and suffocated, Clara decided to light a flare, filling the room with a blinding red glow. Through the flare's haze, they saw Lydia's spectral form, her hollow eyes pleading, clutching her child. Panicking, one of the team members, Alex, started recounting Lydia's tale aloud, empathizing with her pain and sorrow. To their astonishment, the apparition nodded, tears streaming down her ethereal face. Clara, connecting the dots, realized that Lydia wasn't there to harm them. She was trapped, seeking solace and redemption. Mustering courage, Clara approached Lydia, softly reassuring her, promising to tell her story, to restore her honor. As dawn approached, the lighthouse door creaked open. The investigators, drained yet enlightened, made their exit, but as Clara took one last glance back, she saw Lydia, standing by the window, her child in her arms, nodding gratefully. Arendale woke to a revelation. Clara and her team presented their evidence, the chilling audio, the haunting visuals, and a heartfelt narration of Lydia Montford's tragedy. The town, moved and shamed by their ancestral wrongdoing, decided to restore the lighthouse as a memorial. As years passed, the spectral cries faded, but visitors claimed to feel an overwhelming sense of melancholy, a heavy weight of remorse. The lighthouse, while no longer functioning, became a beacon once more, not of maritime guidance, but of a lesson in empathy and understanding. Yet there was one more twist in the tale. On the anniversary of the shipwreck, decades after the revelations, a ship found itself in a storm near Arendale's coast. The crew, fearing their end, saw an unexpected glow cutting through the tempest. The Montford Lighthouse, its beacon alight after years, guided the ship to safety. The town woke to the sight of the glowing lighthouse, a silent thank you from Lydia, the eternal keeper, watching over the seas and those who dare navigate its treacherous waves. In the shadows of the night, if our tales from unsettling horror stories gave you a fright, press like and let it be known. Subscribe, so you're never alone in this haunting journey, and share, so others too can be wary. Until our next sinister tale, stay dark, dear listener.